The late afternoon sun spilled across the polished floors of the suburban home, illuminating every corner with a deceptive sense of peace. It had once been his home, a place filled with memories of laughter, arguments, and late-night talks that now seemed distant, almost surreal. Yet today, it felt like a battlefield, and the person standing at the threshold of that war was Ethan Cole, a man whose arrogance matched the confidence of a conqueror. Ethan was new to the family, the so-called replacement husband of Vanessa, Ethan's ex-wife. Tall, impeccably dressed and radiating authority, he moved as if the world had been built for him. His eyes scanned the living room, narrowing as he spotted the familiar figure of Marcus Hale, seated calmly on the leather sofa. Marcus had once shared this house with Vanessa, building it with his own hands and investing decades of love and life into every corner. Now, he returned for what he thought would be a routine visit, dropping off a few boxes of his things, resolving some legal matters regarding the house, and found himself facing a man determined to assert dominance in his absence. "You don't belong here," Ethan said, voice sharp, clipped, each word designed to wound. "This is our home now. Vanessa and I, we run this place. You need to leave." Marcus lifted his gaze slowly, calm and collected, though the tension in the room was undeniable. "I'm here to collect my things and finalize a few legal matters," he said evenly. "Nothing more, nothing less." Ethan's lips twisted into a smirk. "I don't care what the law says. You're out, today, now." Marcus leaned back, his fingers steepled together, his expression almost amused. It was the same composure that had once allowed him to navigate hostile boardrooms and corporate battles with subtle genius. He could see through Ethan's bravado, recognized the shallow foundation beneath the towering confidence. He knew he had to respond, but patience and timing were key. "You really want to make this difficult?" Marcus asked quietly, each word deliberate. "Because I assure you, I can do that." Ethan's smirk faltered. "You don't scare me." Marcus didn't need to. Fear was irrelevant. What mattered was leverage, precision, and strategy. Ethan's first attempt to assert control came with aggressive intimidation. He leaned forward, pointing toward the front door. "I don't want to see you here again. Step outside, or I'll call security." The audacity of the man shocked even Marcus momentarily, but beneath the surface, a plan began to crystallize. Marcus understood that confrontation alone wouldn't work, not with a man who thrived on bluster and assumed authority. He needed to turn the situation on its head, to make Ethan realize that dominance was an illusion, and that true power lay in foresight and cunning. As Ethan moved to physically escort him, Marcus stood calmly. "Ethan," he said, voice low but commanding, "let's avoid unnecessary trouble. You see, there's more to this house than you know." "What do you mean?" Ethan sneered. Though his confidence wavered slightly, Marcus gestured toward a framed photograph on the wall, a smiling family captured in sunlight. "You see Vanessa, happy in her life, enjoying the home she once shared with me? That's only possible because of what I've invested here, not just time and money, but legal ownership, and that includes every inch of this property." Ethan blinked, the first hint of hesitation crossing his face. "Ownership? I thought... You thought you could intimidate me out of what is legally mine?" Marcus cut in, voice calm but sharp. "Check the paperwork, Ethan. Every deed, every document, all in my name. I didn't leave the house. I transferred possession temporarily during the divorce. The house is mine until the terms of settlement are fully executed. And trust me, I've been very patient." The room seemed to shrink. Ethan, who had walked in with the swagger of a conqueror, now felt the walls closing in, his authority evaporating like mist in the sun. Marcus didn't stop there. He reached for his phone and called the legal office, confirming the property's status in real time, while Ethan and Vanessa watched, mouths agape. The lawyer on the line detailed the agreements: ownership, temporary possession, rights to enter the property, and legal protections that Marcus held firmly in his hands. Ethan's face reddened. He had underestimated Marcus, assuming bravado and aggression could override legality. But Marcus had turned the law into his weapon, a shield and sword, all in one. "You see, Ethan," Marcus said quietly, setting down the phone, "I don't need to threaten you. I don't need to raise my voice. The law and patience do that for me." Vanessa's expression was unreadable. There was relief, certainly, but also a sense of tension that hung heavy in the air. She had not anticipated that Marcus could assert control so effortlessly, turning a potentially hostile confrontation into a display of strategic dominance. Ethan, desperate now, tried one last attempt at intimidation. He stepped closer, lowering his tone, his eyes narrowing. "You leave, or I'm calling the cops myself. I won't let you humiliate me in my own house." Marcus rose slowly, towering over him, not in aggression, but in calm authority. "Ethan," he said, voice low, deliberate, almost cold, "humiliation isn't mine to give, but consequences are inevitable when you try to assert control over something that isn't yours." Ethan hesitated, realizing he had walked into a trap of his own making. Marcus's calmness, his unwavering poise, his control of both legal authority and psychological space had turned the confrontation against him. In that moment, Ethan understood the shock. He had assumed dominance based on physical presence and confidence, but he had misjudged the depth, intelligence, and resources of the man standing before him. Marcus didn't call security, he didn't shout, and he didn't make threats. Instead, he began methodically asserting his rights, moving through the house with calm authority, documenting every move, and ensuring Vanessa understood the legal realities. Each step reinforced the shocking revelation. He was untouchable in this house, not because of force, but because of intelligence and preparation. Ethan tried to interject, to argue, to intimidate once more. But every action he took only underscored Marcus's dominance. It was a chess game played in real life, every aggressive move met with a measured, perfectly legal countermove. The tension reached its peak when Marcus handed Vanessa the legal documents detailing Ethan's lack of authority. "Vanessa," Marcus said softly, "this is a reminder of the facts, nothing more, nothing less. Decisions made without understanding the truth can have consequences you may not anticipate." Ethan's face was pale. For a man who thrived on dominance, being outmaneuvered without a single act of physical violence was a humiliating shock. Word of the confrontation spread quickly. Vanessa's friends, neighbors, and even colleagues in Ethan's business circles heard the story. The man who had tried to assert dominance had been outsmarted and publicly embarrassed without the slightest need for confrontation. Ethan faced a mixture of ridicule and forced respect. He realized painfully that arrogance and force could not overcome preparation, intelligence, and patience. Marcus had demonstrated that strategy, like chess, was not about brute strength, but anticipation, foresight, and precise execution. Vanessa, though still processing her own emotions, gained a renewed respect for Marcus. She saw not just the man who had been her husband, but the strategist who could protect himself, his rights, and integrity against anyone. For Marcus, the day was both vindication and catharsis. Revenge had been served not with anger, but with calculated brilliance. Shock had been delivered not through confrontation, but through unassailable logic and strategy. The story left a lingering lesson for all involved. Dominance without understanding is fragile, and true power lies in knowledge, preparation, and restraint. Marcus' handling of the confrontation became a reference point in discussions of property rights, domestic disputes, and strategy. His approach, calm, calculated, and relentless, proved that one could achieve revenge, justice, and shock simultaneously without stooping to the level of aggression displayed by others. Ethan, humbled and defeated, would never again underestimate the subtle but absolute power of patience, intelligence, and preparation. And for Marcus, the ordeal was a reminder. Sometimes, the most effective victory is the one achieved without raising a hand, but by moving every piece perfectly into place. The house, once a place of tension, was restored, not just as a property, but as a testament to strategy, patience, and the quiet triumph of one man over arrogance.